I studied his face, trying to read it. His eyes seemed to narrow infinitesimally. He glanced down at me from the corner of his eye, smiling wryly. I really don't think I was invited. I sighed. I just invited you. Let's you and I not push poor Mike any further this week. We don't want him to snap. His eyes danced. He was enjoying the idea more than he should. Mike Schmike, I muttered, preoccupied by the way he had said, you and I. I liked it more than I should. We were near the parking lot now. I veered left towards my truck. Something caught my jacket, yanking me back. Where do you think you're going? He asked, outraged. He was gripping a fistful of my jacket in one hand. I was confused. I'm going home. Didn't you hear me promise to take you safely home? Do you think I'm going to let you drive in your condition? His voice was still indignant. What condition? And what about my truck? I complained. I'll have Alice drop it off after school. He was towing me towards his car now, pulling me by my jacket. It was all I could do to keep from falling backward. He'd probably just drag me along anyway if I did. Let go, I insisted. He ignored me. I staggered along sideways across a wet sidewalk until we reached the Volvo. Then he finally freed me. I stumbled against the passenger door. You're so pushy, I grumbled. It's open, was all he responded. He got in the driver's side. I am perfectly capable of driving myself home. I stood by the car, fuming. It was raining harder now, and I had never put my hood up, so my hair was dripping down my back. He lowered the automatic window and leaned towards me across the seat. Get in, Bella. I didn't answer. I was mentally calculating my chances of reaching the truck before he could catch me. I had to admit, they weren't good. I'll just drag you back, he threatened, guessing my plan. I tried to maintain what dignity I could as I got into his car. I wasn't very successful. I looked like a half-drowned cat, and my boots squeaked. This is completely unnecessary, I said stiffly. He didn't answer. He fiddled with the controls, turning the heater up and the music down. As he pulled out of the parking lot, I was preparing to give him the silent treatment, my face in full pout mode, and then I recognized the music playing, and my curiosity got the better of my intentions. Claire Tune? I asked, surprised. You know Debussy? He sounded surprised too. Not well, I admitted. My mother plays a lot of classical music around the house. I only know my favorites. It's one of my favorites too. He stared out through the rain, lost in thought. I listened to the music, relaxing against the light grey leather seat. It was impossible not to respond to the familiar soothing melody. The rain blurred everything outside the window into grey and green smudges. I began to realize we were driving very fast. The car moved so steadily, so evenly though, I didn't feel the speed. Only the town flashing by gave it away. What is your mother like? He asked me suddenly. I glanced over to see him studying me with curious eyes. She looks a lot like me, but she's prettier, I said. He raised his eyebrows. I have too much Charlie in me. She's more outgoing than I am, and braver. She's irresponsible and slightly eccentric, and she's a very unpredictable cook. She's my best friend. I stopped. Talking about her was making me depressed. How old are you, Bella? His voice sounded frustrated for some reason I couldn't imagine. He had stopped the car, and I realized we were at Charlie's house already. The rain was so heavy that I could barely see the house at all. It was like the car was submerged under a river. I am 17, I responded, a little confused. You don't seem 17. His tone was reproachful. It made me laugh. What? He asked, curious again. My mom always says I was born 35 years old and that I get more middle-aged every year. I laughed and then sighed. Well, someone has to be the adult. I paused for a second. You don't seem much like a junior in high school yourself, I noted. He made a face and changed the subject. So, why did your mother marry Phil? I was surprised he would remember the name. I had mentioned it just once, almost 2 months ago. It took me a moment to answer. My mother, She's very young for her age. I think Phil makes her feel even younger. At any rate, she's crazy about him. I shook my head. The attraction was a mystery to me. Do you approve? He asked. I countered. I want her to be happy. And he's who she wants. That's very generous. I wonder. He mused. What? Would she extend the same courtesy to you? Do you think, no matter who your choice was? He was suddenly intent, his eyes searching mine. I think so, I stuttered. But she's a parent after all. It's a little bit different. No one too scary then, he teased. I grinned in response. What do you mean by scary? Multiple facial piercings and extensive tattoos? That's one definition, I suppose. What's your definition? But he ignored my question and asked me another. Do you think that I could be scary? He raised one eyebrow, and the faint trace of a smile lightened his face. I thought for a moment, wondering whether the truth or a lie would go over better. I decided to go with the truth. I think you could be, if you wanted to. Are you frightened of me now? The smile vanished, and his heavenly face was suddenly serious. No, but I answered too quickly. The smile returned. So, now are you going to tell me about your family? I asked to distract him. It's got to be a much more interesting story than mine. He was instantly cautious. What do you want to know? The Cullens adopted you? I verified. Yes. I hesitated for a moment. What happened to your parents? They died many years ago. His tone was matter-of-fact. I'm sorry, I mumbled. I don't really remember them that clearly. Carlyle and Esme have been my parents for a long time now, and you love them. It wasn't a question. It was obvious in the way he spoke of them. Yes, he smiled. I couldn't imagine two better people. You're very lucky. I know I am. And your brother and sister? He glanced at the clock on the dashboard. My brother and sister, and Jasper and Rosalie for that matter, are going to be quite upset if they have to stand in the rain waiting for me. Oh, sorry. I guess you have to go. I didn't want to get out of the car. And you probably want your truck back before Chief Swan gets home, so you don't have to tell him about the biology incident. He grinned at me. I'm sure he's already heard. There are no secrets in folks. I sighed. He laughed, and there was an edge to his laughter. Have fun at the beach. Good weather for sunbathing. He glanced out at the sheeting rain. Won't I see you tomorrow? No. Emmett and I are starting the weekend early. What are you going to do? A friend could ask that, right? I hope the disappointment wasn't too apparent in my voice. We are going to be hiking in the Goat Rocks Wilderness, just south of Rainier. I remembered Charlie had said the Cullens went camping frequently. Oh, well, have fun. I tried to sound enthusiastic. I don't think I fooled him, though. A smile was playing around the edges of his lips. Will you do something for me this weekend? He turned to look me straight in the face, utilizing the full power of his burning gold eyes. I nodded helplessly. Don't be offended, but you seem to be one of those people who just attract accidents like a magnet. So, try not to fall into the ocean or get run over or anything, all right? He smiled crookedly. The helplessness had faded as he spoke. I glared at him. I'll see what I can do, I snapped as I jumped out into the rain. I slammed the door behind me with excessive force. He was still smiling as he drove away.